So, for the past couple of months, all I've heard is how great The Greatest Showman is. From friends, family, random people on the street have come up to tell me how awesome they think The Greatest Showman is. But as you can tell from the title of the film, I think it sucks. I think it really sucks. So here are my 5 reasons as to why I think the film sucks and what I would do to fix it. Hope you enjoy.
Number 1. The real P.T. Barnum was a huge dick. He owned slaves, performed public autopsies, beat his performers, and was a huge racist. So it baffles me that someone out there decided to make a feel-good musical with this guy as the hero. That's either incredibly insensitive or really, really stupid. And I'm going to put my money on it being both. What I don't understand is why him. At some point during the production, somebody must have had the smart idea of simply changing the main character's name. And it's not as if the film is even trying to be historically accurate. That aside, the film still doesn't really know what it wants to do with its main character. Seemingly kind of aware of the tumultuous nature of the real P.T. Barnum, the film kind of tries to put the character's actions in this morally dubious shadow, while also clearly framing him as the hero. It means that one moment he is potentially manipulating the disabled, and the next he's being heralded as their saviour. It's very tone deaf. Overall, the whole characterization of P.T. Barnum feels incredibly disingenuous and shallow. What makes it even worse is how bare bones the film's approach to storytelling actually is. Number 2. The music. Now, I don't really have an issue with the music itself. Sure, it's not my cup of tea and it's a bit anachronistic, but it's fine. What I have an issue with is how the film uses the music in terms of its storytelling. So most musicals tend to run from 2 to 2.5 hours, and that's simply because if you take an average 90-minute film and add half an hour of musical numbers in there, it takes it up to about 2.5 hours. With most films finding a good balance between the music and the story. Meanwhile, The Greatest Showman clocks in at about 96 minutes without credits. And with 40 minutes of songs, it makes the actual film barely scraping an hour, and boy does it feel that. The main problem is that the majority of the soundtrack is built up of these big showpiecey songs, with very few of the actual songs being used to progress the story or its characters. That would probably be alright if the film was about an hour longer and actually had time to set up its characters and competently tell its story, or even build relationships, but it just doesn't. It zips along with what feels like the cliff notes of the actual film. And in the end, what we are left with is a bare bones and cliched rags to riches story, interspersed with some faux empowering pop songs. Number 3. The Ensemble Cast. Personally, this was probably my biggest disappointment when it came to the film. Looking at all the marketing material, the trailers, the soundtrack, I went in expecting at the very least a large cast of colourful and interesting individuals. What I got was some really cool looking extras. To say the cast was underutilized is an understatement. I would almost go so far as to say that the use of the characters as basically a plot device is kind of insulting. Throughout the whole film, the performers are given basically nothing to do, with no development and no characterization. They only have about 2 scenes that are actually centered around them, and with basically no dialogue. It seems like they just exist in the background. Instead, the film is based around 2 generically good-looking and privileged white guys. What a waste to not even delve into the potentially interesting and complex lives of the circus performers. Number 4. The love story. Okay, so the most bare bones aspect of this film is easily the love story between Zac Efron and Zendaya. And no, I don't actually know their character names, and no, I don't really want to look them up. This is their entire relationship. They make eye contact, try and fail to hold hands, then don't go on a date, and then they sing a song, and then boom, they're in love. To say it's bare bones is kind of an understatement. Throughout this entire film, they have one singular conversation, and that's it. While watching the film, I honestly thought I blacked out and missed all the scenes where they talked to each other and built up a relationship and a rapport, but nope, nothing there. I would put good money on all those scenes being found somewhere on the cutting room floor, abandoned so that the film could reach that sub 2 hour runtime. What makes it all the more egregious is the fact that Zac Efron and Zendaya actually have good chemistry with each other, and that their musical number is probably one of the best in the film. But their whole relationship just feels like a PowerPoint presentation without any substance. Number 5. The film really wants to look like it's about something. So we all have that one friend who wears a Che Guevara t-shirt and pretends to be deep and poignant. Well, that's basically the physical embodiment of this film. Sure, it brings up themes of racism, discrimination, classism and ableism, but besides from saying that they're bad, the film doesn't really have anything else to bring to the table. Not only are these themes handled in the most basic, simplistic way possible, they also lack any depth and complexity. They feel like they are solely there so that the film can pretend to be about something and have a poignant message. Which is a shame considering the song This Is Me actually does a good job at emphasizing an important and positive message. Okay, so how would I fix the film? Well, let's start by changing the name of the main character to something like AJ Applesnapper, just because it's fun to say. But also seriously because it's a feel-good, upbeat musical, so let's stay away from deplorable human beings who tortured people. So with any mention of P.T. Barnum thrown out the window, it also means we no longer have to even try to be historically accurate. It also gets rid of all the ties to the terrible man and his actions. The next biggest change I would make would be to add a second main character, one who is the antithesis of AJ Applesnapper. He is passionate, free-spirited, and a performer who loves nothing more than entertaining and bringing joy to others. He does lack the ambition and the courage to strive for bigger things. Meanwhile, AJ is the pragmatic businessman who sees the profit to be made and is driven by wanting his family to live comfortably, even though he doesn't always go about doing these things in the most morally right way. These two are childhood friends who grew up together. Now the point for adding this character is threefold. One, it allows us to split up certain aspects of the main character. So we can have this morally grey businessman who might not be doing everything for the right reasons, and a naive performer who isn't responsible enough to handle striving for bigger things. Two, it also means we get to add a point of view character with the performers, which will allow them to be brought into the film a whole lot more, so we can actually see their struggles with discrimination. Finally, it constructs a much cleaner arc for each of the main characters, each needing to learn a valuable lesson from each other. AJ Applesnapper needs to learn that fame and money corrupts, and that the true joy comes from bringing joy to others, and the new character learns that a little pragmatism and responsibility can be used for good things. Now, without writing the entire script, I think that adding this second main character helps round out the story and its characters, while also giving us a valuable point of view character with the performers.
So, they were my thoughts and opinions on The Greatest Showman. If you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, please like it. If you loved it, please subscribe. Check out my other videos. I have one on why I think La La Land sucks that might be of interest. And that's about it. Bye!